Hello, wedding wanderers. My name is Assumpta, and welcome to Ave Creations TV, a home for busy professionals and entrepreneurs who want to plan a timeless, sophisticated, and unforgettable wedding celebration or special event. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Today, I am going to be giving you some tips on how to plan a small and intimate wedding. If you missed my last video, I was sharing with you the benefits of having a small and intimate wedding, and now I'm going to tell you how to go about planning one. So if you want to hear more, stay tuned. But before that, hold on. If you're not subscribed already, please subscribe. And when you get to the end of this video, if you like it or at any point if you're enjoying it, hit the like button, write your comments, let's have a dialogue. On with the video. So my first point is to set your budget. It doesn't matter whether you're having a big or small wedding. That is always the first step, no matter the size of your wedding. You need to know how much money you're playing with, whether it's contributions from your savings, family members, just pool it all together so you know what you're working with. Oftentimes people think having a small wedding means cheap. No, it doesn't. Yes, it could be cheaper than having a large wedding of the same quality, but it doesn't necessarily mean it has to be cheap. You could have a small and intimate wedding for £50,000 and somebody with 200-300 people can be spending that same amount. It's all dependent on what you want. So yes, set your budget. The second thing to do is to write down who is invited. Sit with your partner or your parents, whoever is able to make these decisions, and write down exactly who you want there. When you're having a smaller wedding, it's best to just stick to your nearest and dearest, like people you could not imagine having a wedding without. Write those names down first, and then once you've done that, be prepared to talk about how to manage friends and family who aren't invited, because inevitably people are going to get offended. Maybe not so much during these times. If you're watching this at a later date, this was recorded just as there is a global pandemic happening, and thus in the UK in particular, there are restrictions on the number of attendees that you can have. People may be more understanding, but if you're planning generally, and we are allowed hundreds or thousands of people at weddings again, just know that you will offend some people. So mentally prepare yourself for that eventuality and discuss it amongst yourselves. Knowing how many people will be in attendance at your wedding is going to be super helpful, not only for your budget, because then you can work out the cost per head, but also when you're looking for venues. You need to know what kind of space you need, which leads me on nicely to my next point. Finding the perfect venue. It's important for you to know your numbers, not just numbers in terms of your budget, but also your head count, because you want to find the perfect space for you. If it's too small, people will think that you've been skimping, basically, or that you're trying to be too frugal. If it's too big, they'll assume that some people didn't show up. You don't want either of those eventualities. If you do fall in love with a bigger space than what you need in terms of your numbers, just be sure to fill it out with maybe a chill out area or other furniture. I don't know, just get creative so that it doesn't look like an empty space. My next point is to personalize your day. With fewer guests to think about, it's far more feasible to make your day as personalized and bespoke as possible. If you missed my collaboration video with Olivia from Newlyweds, we talked about this previously, and she shared her experience with one of her grooms who wanted to write a personalized note for every person in attendance. You can do that when you're dealing with small numbers. You can not only showcase your personalities and you as a couple as best as possible, but also you can cater to your guest personalities as well when you're working with a smaller guest list. Moving on, I want you to consider your guest experience. Small weddings have an extra element of intimacy because you can spend real quality time with everybody at the wedding and create memories together. As mentioned in my collaboration video, if you haven't watched those, go and watch them. You can do things for your guests and for yourselves that you may not have been able to do if you had hundreds or even 100 people at your wedding. For example, transporting everybody in some really luxurious or quirky ways. Maybe if there's a river nearby or a lake, you could have a boat ride from point A to point B, or you could hire a private chef or sommelier. There are so many options and things that you can do when you're dealing with a smaller number that would possibly be too costly to do for 100, 500 people. So think about those things and just really try to make the guest experience as phenomenal as possible, not only for your guests, but for yourself as well. And additionally, you could actually all end up staying together in the same accommodation and have a giant sleepover. When you're dealing with smaller numbers, it is easier to get everybody in the same space. So that's something else to consider, and you could pay for it as well. And my final point is to make your own rules. If you want to have a super traditional wedding, then go right ahead. But if you like to drop certain traditions, such as having bridesmaids or groomsmen, which is probably a bit harder when you have such a small number of people, you can do that. If you don't want to throw your bouquet because you'd only be tossing it to a few people, you don't have to do that either. Just make up your own rules. You can have way more leeway when you're having a small and intimate wedding, but remember that it's your day and try to have as much fun as you possibly can. I hope these tips have helped you. Please comment below, tell me if I've missed anything off, and let's have a dialogue, as I said before. If you're not subscribed to the channel already, then please do. If you liked this video, then hit the like button. Share with anybody that you think it may be useful to, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.
Meet me at the altar in your righteousness. We ain't getting no younger, we might as well do. Been feeling you all the while, girl, I must confess. Let's get married.